Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blonde Blitz. I'm your host, Deb Whitcas. It's New Year's Eve tonight, and 2026 is almost upon us. I wanted to take this time to thank you all for tuning in this season, and I thought it would be a fun time to take a look back at some of the best moments of the Blonde Blitz this NFL season. Happy 2026, everybody. See you soon. What impact do women have in sports?
Women can talk sports just as good or better than the men.
We're definitely on the up, and more and more attention is being brought to women in sports.
Yes.
And it's a great time, and I cannot wait till we're equal.
I'm itching for the NFL to start. I want to introduce a phrase that I think needs to really take flight in the NFL. And that phrase is, what in the George Pickens is going on here?
I like that.
We've not been included in the conversation in sports, right? Whether it be the women's sports movement as a whole, which used to be 4% of media coverage goes to women. And now I think we're up to 15. Mm-hmm. Maybe I saw the last report, which is great progress. We've tripled it. And yet we're still not talking about that it should be close to 50-50.
44% of women are NFL fans. 75% of women identify as sports fans. Are those stats surprising to you?
They're not surprising to me. I think what's surprising, or in a good way, is just how much attention is now going to it. I grew up in a place where that's all you do is play sports. I grew up playing soccer and tennis and football, you name it. You see my running back cameo in there? I could be dual, running back and quarterback.
There we go.
I'm Alex White. I am a third-generation handicapper, grandfather and father, both professional sports bettors. AFC, it's the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton really put a stamp on his team last year, got his quarterback in Bo Nix. I think they can compete for that division. Watch out for them on a week-to-week basis.
So my best advice, and the rule that I always live by, is to stick with the players that are getting the best reputation, that consistently can show up and show out.
Jalen Hurts, I know people don't think that he's worth being a top 10 overall quarterback. I don't know where that comes from.
Steelers versus Jets.
His ex-girlfriend game.
I personally don't think Dak Prescott is completely innocent in this, but I wanted to get your take on it.
Dak is not innocent. Dak provoked that. You know what I mean? He was behind his two giant security team, and he knew that he could stand up. And even though the guy was maybe 5 yards away from him, and just spit. That's an old school threat.
Everybody, Frank Nicotero.
What's happening? I just put on the NFL Network. They're re-showing the Steelers-Jets game. I'm watching it again. He just threw his first touchdown pass to Ben Skoranek. I'm like, I will watch it from here on in for the rest of the night.
Everyone, if you don't know, Frank is a huge Steelers fan. Years ago, when they got Najee Harris, he jumped into a pool fully clothed on vacation.
In Mexico, yeah.
Yes. Why football? Why do you love football?
Growing up as a kid and being able to sit down in front of the TV on Sundays mostly, because, when you're 9 and 10 years old, I'm not really looking at college sports. I'm outside playing on Saturdays. But Sundays after dinner, and that's what we have on the TV. All my friends in the neighborhood play football. I remember having a jersey with 34 on it with Earl Campbell when he was with the Oilers. I remember having a O.J. Simpson, and then I had Tony Dorsett. I was definitely a running back in my younger days. It was just such a way to be competitive. Field or someone's yard on the side of the house is where we played, or the street.
My name is Virginia Sunshine, and I am a professional holistic private chef specializing in clean cuisine. I am here to help us swap out for the snacks that keep you snatched. Yes, even on game day, we're all sort of sick of hearing, have some hummus and veggies. Instead of snacking and filling up on chips and dips and other little mini things, consider game day food your actual meal. So stick to your macros, make sure you get your proteins, your fat, your veggies, and you should be in really good shape. I want to introduce to you my buffalo chicken lettuce wraps. So we start with some Boston lettuce, dill, pickle, potato chip crusted, chicken tenders. Look at these bad boys. These are air fried, easy peasy. If you do not have time to dredge in flour and egg and crushed up pickle chips and air fry, use a rotisserie chicken. Just add all the other goodies and you are good to go.
Los Angeles Chargers totally shocked everyone with the season opener against the Kansas City Chiefs. There was a lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces, and it there are actually 3 notable Pisces on the Los Angeles Chargers team: Herbert, Najee Harris, and Omarion Hampton.
Look, I'm looking at the new lineup too. I'm looking at people making food now. They're giving different zodiac signs. I got former players on here, so it's all good. All good.
It's a Super Bowl rematch.
If any team is built to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, it is the Eagles.
Everyone, please help me welcome current DE for the Detroit Lions, Miles Adams. Talk to me about some of the key moments in the game.
Man, we had a couple players that played lights out. I think they said Saint had his first 3-touchdown game. I think we had J-Mo averaging 2 catches for 108. It's like Madden stats, you know what I'm saying?
What was the locker room celebration like after? You got to tell me.
Oh, the locker room celebration, man. I mean, you got to give it up once for the fans at Ford Field. That was electric. Part of our ownership's birthday, Mrs. Ford. You know, she enjoyed the win, enjoyed seeing us whoop up on the Bears a little bit. So
I feel like you and Miles were what they call Travis and Taylor, just walking exclamation points. Like, you guys are just such good energy.
Oh my God, that's the best compliment I've gotten all week. Thank you so much. Jacqueline, let's talk a little bit about the Giants. I hear you have some funny stuff going on with them.
I feel like that must have been really hard for you as a Philadelphia Eagles fan to even ask about the Giants. I really appreciate that. A lot of Eagles fans that I love. I'm terrified of you all. I am. I've seen some uncles like smash Heineken bottles in the parking lot at Eagles Stadium over a parking spot. All I'm going to say about the Eagles is you're good. And that was a lot for me.
Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are the latest NFL stars to join a long list of players and retired players turning their passion for food into restaurant empires, right? Aaron Rodgers has done it. John Elway's done it. Emmitt Smith has done it. What can we learn from their restaurants to create the perfect game day viewing party at home?
They used, a lot of the warm browns that are reminiscent of, say, the football itself. They used some green in the furniture seating, which is reminiscent of the turf. In fact, that's what they looked at. They looked at the field instead of doing this in red and white, because that probably would really give you maybe McDonald's kind of vibe.
Right. Yeah. A little, even though it's Kansas City colors, still kind of tacky.
Yeah, so they didn't go with their Kansas City colors. They didn't have the jerseys on the wall, that kind of thing. They didn't want it to feel like a sports bar. They wanted it to feel like an elevated experience.
When you asked me to do the picks, I was like, of course, absolutely. But then you throw in this game, the one I just didn't want to even talk about, for America's team, the Miami Dolphins, who has turned into America's fart.
Blonde Blitz. I think I'm used to playing in a pressure defense. So let's bring the blitz. Let's get it going.
The Panthers beat the Falcons 30-0. Your old team, you were drafted by them. Do you think this could be their season?
I'm kind of torn. Drafted by Carolina, played in Carolina, but I live in Atlanta, so I got to be careful of what I say. This is the early part of the season. Let's be honest. It's the early part of the season. We see it year in and year out. Some teams start 0-2. Some teams start 2-0, 3-0. The second half of the season, they go on a down spiral. Good for Carolina that they are, they had a great win against Atlanta, but again, it's a long season.
I am from Philadelphia. My firstborn child is named Brady, so I just want to let you know.
Might the dad be a Boston fan?
The dad is a Boston fan.
That one.
Pacific Patriots, Eagles, Super Bowl. You could say you handed it to us all we want, but we're here, aren't we?
I said I can't sit by and watch this Eagles and Patriots talk happening. I've got to put my New York Giants NFC East hat on. And,
we all have
and
our
show
team,
some support.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Quarterback Russell Wilson, he has his wisdom, a veteran at this. He's a Sagittarius, an immutable sign. So coming off of the solar eclipse that happened in Virgo, there's no doubt that he has everything to get organized and try to make this team come together and fuse. I just don't think, according to the cards, that it may happen, because we have all low cards this time for the New York Giants.
I think it should be the Philly wall. That's just my thought process.
The fake tush push. I call it the tush fake is what I'm naming that myself. Why football? Why do you love it?
Well, as many other kickers, started out with soccer. So I was a very active kid, playing in the community, in the neighborhood with all of my neighbor kids, and playing all kinds of sports. And soccer was one that I kind of tied into. And I wasn't ever the biggest kid in the world. So that's one reason why I chose kicker. I love to kick the ball. I was always the guy that shot the penalty shots. I always had a pretty strong leg. So I just started kicking football and just really fell in love with it.
I hate wide receivers. The wide receivers in those commercials have to name their own offensive linemen in order to get the paycheck from the commercial. And guess what? They can't because they're too busy dancing by themselves and not with the offensive linemen.
Big NFL announcement this week. The Super Bowl halftime show, Bad Bunny will be performing, stirring a ton of controversy. Do you think Bad Bunny was the right pick?
There's aspects of it I like and a lot that I don't like, I'm going to admit. But what it comes down to is money. This is going to be a money maker for the league. This guy is one of the biggest international superstars. It's going to bring in that younger demo that listens to him. It's going to bring in much more of a global audience.
Pumping the core. I mean, if you haven't figured it out yet, you got to try to find a way to slow him down.
Yep.
Fighting the best receiver in football. I'm going to
right now.
I'm a Cowboy fan.
I saw the hesitation. I was like, what is he going to say next? Why do players fight? I love the fighting, to be honest, to watch it. They know it's not going to end well. They know they're going to get suspended. They know they're going to get fined something. Why do they do it?
It's such a violent game. We got to turn it on and off, right, between the lines. And sometimes it's hard the lines get blurry. Once you're in the red, it's hard to come out. We're having that red tail at the bull, right?
Another player that I'm recommending due to injuries on the team is Rico Dowdle over at the Carolina Panthers. Another player consistently getting those high points week in and week out.
The Colts have the most vanilla jersey thing you've had. No thought went into that jersey.
The jerseys in general have been a little crazy. The Arizona look was all spotted, and it was anyway.
I like Buffalo's new colorway. They just wasted it
too.
because they lost to New England. So that jersey is going to go in the back of the shelf, right?
It's going to go bye-bye for sure. Broncos versus Giants. I feel like NFL history was made in this game. The Broncos came from behind and they scored 33 points in the fourth quarter. Giants kicker missed 2, or was it the defense that lost this game?
How about option C? All of the above. How do you blow a 19-point lead in less than 15 minutes? You allow the Broncos to walk off.
And I love that you wore pink.
I know. Now I need to go get my pink jacket. Like, what's happening here? And I'm back.
Yay, we're all in pink. We're all in the Blonde Blitz and the Off the Field Wives pink. I love it. Explain to me what an executive coach is, or what an executive coach does.
People hear executive coach and they think either I have to be a C-suite executive or, oh, you're just a life coach. And I jokingly tell people, if you don't know how to life, I probably can't work with you. My role is to come alongside my clients and help them navigate getting from where they're at now to where they want to go next. So whether it's a career move, personal stuff, relationships, really about getting clear on what you want. And then the executive coach comes alongside, helps you navigate the challenges that arise, helps you overcome some of the mindset hurdles that might come up.
Week 9, so many upsets. My fantasy, my pick'ems, they all kind of went to crap. Panthers beat Green Bay 16-13. Arizona beat the Cowboys 27-17. Why are some of these elite teams now getting beat by, lesser balanced teams, let's say?
I think it's just a consistency, and then we're seeing backups coming in and playing just as good as the starters. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you saw Rico Dowdle come in, 25 carries, 130 yards. Hubbard's hurt, but he's playing better than Hubbard did when Hubbard was even playing. Then we look at Green Bay, just in general, they're kind of hit or miss.
Well, hopefully we don't see it moving forward that much because my pick'ems can't take it. When and why did you start the U.S. Army All-American Bowl?
There were some things that I love as a sports fan. First was the McDonald's All-American basketball game, which I never missed, seeing Kobe for the first time or Shaquille or some of the great high school players, the Little League World Series, right? Like in Williamsport, can't miss. And I love the 5-Star Academy. And those are the 3 things that I kind of grew up around. I want to do the football version of the McDonald's All-American games. So back in 2000, I called all the top kids, figured out how to do it, lost a ton of money. The Army signed on, the NBC signed on shortly thereafter. And I had about 17 years of great fun doing the game.
As much as I want to go with the Bucs, I think Drake May and them guys got something going on. I mean, Drake May is like a dark horse MVP candidate right now. You talk about a team that you can't really trust. This Packers team, this the same Packers team that just lost to the Panthers.
The Panthers. I wanted to recognize Paul Tagliabue, the NFL commissioner from 1989 to 2006. He passed away on November 9. I just personally wanted to extend my condolences to his family, his friends, the league. In your eyes, what did the commissioner contribute during his years?
Condolences to his family and friends. He was one of the pioneers in the NFL. These positions, they're not open very often. I think the relationships that he had built over time with owners and teams is really the most important thing. And he did it at a very, very high level for a long time. He was also huge in instituting the Rooney Rule, to make sure that a lot of coaches would have the opportunity, whether they were African American or whatever their backgrounds were, that they'd have an opportunity to get out there and be a part of a team at a very high level. I think when you go out on a limb and you try to make change in the league, it's something he'll always be remembered for.
What did you think of the play?
That game was so boring. I would have rather watched my toenails grow for the first 3 quarters. But I mean, it had a great little payoff at the end. But my God, get to it.
The Eagles defense did their job. That last punt, Sirianni went for it. AJ Brown didn't happen, and they almost lost it.
Sean McDermott, you better start getting some wins, because losing to the Dolphins like that, the class of the AFC East right now being Drake May and New England, he's definitely on the hot seat.
You and I were talking actually at the Rams practice about how special teams this season across the league has been off, but not Cameron.
Not Cameron. No, he's very good. He's accurate. He's got a very, it's interesting for a kicker. A lot of kickers are very uptight. When you see them, they're very, very tunnel vision focused. He is a little bit more happy-go-lucky kind of guy.
I feel like Cameron Dicker and Jake Elliott are very similar personality-wise and kicking styles, from the Eagles as well.
Chip Kelly, you saw what he did with the Eagles, you saw what he did with the 49ers, and then you saw what he did with the Raiders. 3 big fat ow!
I've been wanting to fire him for years.
As long as I've known you, you actually wanted Dabes to be fired. And I'm like, no, Deb, he's actually not that bad. And then, all right, you're right, I'm wrong. Great offensive mind, not a great head coach.
Do you think it was the correct move in the middle of the season when he's so connected to franchise quarterback Jackson Dart?
I think ultimately, yeah, because it was at the end of the day, it was more of him trying to keep his job than the health of Jackson Dart.
Aaron, let's talk a little bit about the Rams. Are we looking at a Super Bowl team here?
It's hard not to think that if you're thinking Super Bowl contender, that the Rams are doing everything right. It's the culture, it's the system, and amazing storylines out of LA. Emmanuel Forbes Jr. You just have guys that are coming out of the woodworks that other teams have gotten rid of. Nate Landman as another one. It's all sort of working things out in terms of culture, talent, and then that's obviously, translating to wins.
The adjustments that they've made this season, early on, it didn't look like it was going to be this dominant. They make a couple of adjustments, and especially in offense, and it really just opens everything up.
The Eagles, Kiana, they lost to Dallas.
How?
I think a lot of people point at the play caller, and I do think Kevin Patullo is an issue, but I think one thing that people don't look at with the Eagles this year is that the offensive line is not as dominant as it was in 2024. And it starts with the injuries. You had Lane Johnson miss time, you've had Landon Dickerson miss time, you had Cam Jurgens miss time, and Cam Jurgens isn't even playing fully healthy right now. They're not run blocking effectively as they used to, and one strength with the 2 Super Bowl runs in 2022 and 2024 is that they could get a lead, they could bleed out the clock, run the ball, but they are not able to do that. And had they been able to do that against Dallas, they probably would have held on to win.
Okay, Danielle, well, a team that isn't terrible at all are the Patriots. Danielle, did you see this coming? How excited are Patriots fans?
I did not see this coming. I thought they would have a nice jump this year. I put them in the 7 to 10 range, getting a culture shift, having Vrabel in, having McDaniels in, going from Alex Van Pelt and Gerard Mayo, who's completely overmatched, to 2 guys that really know what they're doing, are culture changers. Kind of saw what Drake May did last season. His footwork, he could make all the throws. He had all the physical tools. He just, we didn't have skill players performing. The line was atrocious. It was an absolute mess. He was running for his life. Kind of like, we're playing with house money. It's like walking to the casino and pulling, 10,000 on the first pull.
If you would have told me 5 weeks ago, Lions, Dallas, I would have laughed and said, oh, this will be an easy victory. Right now, Dallas looks like the hottest team in the NFL. Yep. They have that offense. Quinn Williams trade made all the difference. I mean, I hate the Cowboys. It was born
as much
in
as
me.
I do.
Yeah, being from Pittsburgh, you from Philly, I hate them. But their offense right now, and of course, we gave George Pickens away for a 3rd-round draft pick. I keep waiting for him to implode, but he's not, because I think CeeDee Lamb's keeping him in check.
Hey guys, it's Deb Whitcas with High School on SI. It is my cause, my cleats here at the NFL, and I have Cam Kitchens with me. He is a safety with the LA Rams, and his cause is very important to him because it's his and was also spearheaded by his grandmother, Carol. Tell me a little bit about your cause.
Charms of life. I think the biggest thing is really just helping the youth. With my grandmother is everything, from top to bottom.
And tell me a little bit about the cause, the nonprofit. What do you do for the youth?
The biggest things, I guess, holidays mostly, the Thanksgivings, the Christmas, the back to school, stuff like that. So now it's been a little difficult because my family's in Miami and I'm in LA. Back to school, I usually pick out 3 families and I go shopping with them, make sure they get their shoes, make sure they get, and it just be great because you kind of see how their upbringing, and you always give them kind of motivation that you can't always give to when it's a bigger crowd. And then something I used to do back in college was for Christmas, I used to go back to my elementary school for pre-K and kindergarten, and we used to give them toys, and talk to them and stuff like that, just those smaller interactions. That's all it's about, and of course I do my football camps and stuff like that, and I want to continue to expand that.
Tell us about the football camps.
Each year it's been getting better. Next year for the summer, that'll be my 4th one, and I want to add, a financial part to it, just to teach the kids, just to always have financial awareness.
Do you do drills? What does it consist of?
It consists of football drills, so it'd be for boys and girls, just going out there and giving them some tips and stuff like that. I don't play all positions, so I could give them a little help on safety, but just skill positions, you have some stuff for the bids, and then we always mostly end with, always have like some gift cards or some money, and we always do like some one-on-ones and stuff like that, so whoever win, get a nice little prize at the end.
And how did you and your grandmother come up with this nonprofit together?
Honestly, it was me, her, and my mom. Just finding out ways to give back.
So in high school, how did your grandmother, support you on and off the field?
On the field, it was always just that motivation, to just keep going. And the crazy part is, hers was motivation, not the football. Because with her, it was football is one thing, but, just helping out in school is another part. So off the field, we always used to go feed the homeless. Anytime she's seeing homeless people on the side of the road, she used to always have like goodie baskets in her trunk. So it was always something that was in the front of my mind anytime I could help anyone.
And let's talk a little bit about your high school football career. I know you were a 4-star recruit to Miami, correct? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, high school.
High school was great. I went to one of the more known high schools in Miami, Miami Northwestern. I think playing in Miami is like no other. The competitive nature we have down there, and I think that's what prepared me, to play in college and to play in the NFL.
Teddy Bridgewater also went to your high school. Do you know him?
Yeah. Anytime he had a break, he'd come talk to us, kind of mentor us.
Let's get back to my claws, my cleats. What do your cleats look like?
I kind of let the guy just kind of freestyle. A great concept he did, so I was real happy with the results.
What did he do?
He made one cleat, it was kind of shades of blue, white, and then yellow, and then the other cleat was yellow, blue, and white.
And how special is it with this cause, have something that's so close to your heart?
It means a lot. Put it on display and for the world to see.
Tell me a bit about Chummy's Customs.
So my name is Colin Chomsky, founder of Chummy's Customs. So I just followed my dream of being a shoe designer, and here we are about 5 or 6 years later doing some work with some of the biggest brands and celebrities.
And then also you worked with Brandon Graham too, right?
We worked with the Eagles and the Eagles Autism Foundation. They sent us a game-used football and a game-worn Brandon Graham jersey. They gave it to us to cut up into five or six pairs of shoes, auctioned off for charity, and one was actually gifted to Brandon.
Man, that dude is nice.
That's awesome. That was an awesome video.
I'm just burnt out. I've had to stay so focused, and I've had to kind of follow along with a lot of the stories and track a lot of these injuries for the various shows I do, some of my podcasts that I release. And I'm ready for a vacation, Deb.
Houston Texans, #1 in points allowed, #1 in total yards allowed. This defense is elite. They're going to slow down Patrick Mahomes and company.
I think Baltimore's done. Like they're 6-7. Like
7.
Yeah, 6-7.
Yeah. Nothing worse than an old person trying to be young. 6-7. No. I'm trying to be young.
I love it. Why football?
One, I started because my parents wanted me to play. I had a lot of anger. Football is a sport that you can play, you can release the anger, and you get a pat on the back. And then it was a way to get to college, and then it became a career. It wasn't necessarily, this was like my lifelong dream. This was a way for me potentially to redeem myself because I dropped out of high school and then had to go back. And then it was also a way to go to college to me, to show everybody that I wasn't dumb. I can get to college and do well, and I did.
No one's talking about what Denver is doing right now. Sean Payton, Bo Nix, year 2 with him. They found a way to get it done, him and Cortland Sutton.
We've been talking a little bit this week about San Francisco It is your team. You've been texting me and being like, Deb, they're going to make a run to the playoffs.
They are sitting on the cusp of not only competing for the NFC West title, but competing for the NFC #1 seed. This is nuts.
I remember halfway through the season, we had a discussion. I was like, I'm so sorry, Brian. Like, they're done.
I said, you know what? There's just no way they can come back from all these injuries. And then the Rams drilled us at Levi Stadium, hanging 42 points and 400 plus yards on us. And all of a sudden, a sleeping giant has awoken.
No, are they here today? Are they coming to this?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay. Well, we actually have a surprise for you. They're online. They're here to support you.
Hello.
We have Anna, stepdad Lucas, and Aunt Lola.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. What do you guys have to say to Joel?
We are very proud.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity, and we appreciate it that he's one of 2 internationals at the bowl on Sunday, and so we support him from here. We are very excited for him. And
When did fantasy sports? When did it start?
What I call modern fantasy sports, the distinction is other games such as App and Stratomatic were based on real professional athletes, but what they did in previous seasons. Whereas modern fantasy sports, you're drafting players for your teams before games are played, so you don't know what's going to happen yet. The first fantasy football league started in 1963. A guy named Bill Winkenbach was a 10% owner of the Oakland Raiders. In the mid to late 50s, he had a primitive fantasy game for the PGA golf and for baseball. He was a part owner of the Raiders, and they were flying from Oakland to New York week for a game against the New York Titans, which is now the New York Jets. And Winkenbach told a couple of people on the plane about his games for golf and baseball, and they said, that sounds great. Why don't we do one for football?
What are a couple of ideas from NFL suites that people can make in their own home?
It's not as luxurious as you might think. A lot of the ultra luxury is in the private clubs. And so some of the ideas are very doable, and some don't even cost any money to do yourself. For example, the TV placement, we've talked about that before in the past. Maybe having multiple TVs. I know in my family at Thanksgiving, we realized we're going to probably put in at least one more TV because we were kind of all spread out and everybody watched the holiday games, and that's probably going to be the same at Christmas. And so, maybe thinking about something like that. Is there a way to do it where you have multiple, everybody gets a good view? Because in our family, if you don't have maybe multiple, somebody's probably going to have to sit on the floor. Somebody's going to have to stand the whole game because we just didn't have enough seating in one room. So that's another thing to think about, is really take yourself and sit in each seat and see, is there a really good view of the game? Because I think that's the most frustrating thing, when you don't have good view and a good sound of the game.
What did you think of last week's games?
Outside of Patrick Mahomes being out for the season, you might want to watch out for what the Rams and, you see what Matthew Stafford and company is doing. Michael Parsons goes out for the year. That's going to hurt Green Bay. That's going to hurt. And for everybody that thought that the Eagles weren't that good, you might want to look again. The game that stood out the most was, listen, my Falcons go out there on Thursday night. They beat the Bucs. The Panthers are in first place, and they lose. Yeah. You lose to New Orleans and Tyler Shuck. Come on, I was shocked.
Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. What's going on?
Rams, Seahawks. What a game. Seahawks are now in first place in the NFC, possibly getting the bye. Rams are in fifth.
When we were down, I was already talking about next week. And son of a gun, man, we just plowed back, and that's why I love this game, is as long as there's time on the clock. And then, of course, you get a few bounces, which I think everybody's talked about, that 2-point conversion. One thing I was taught since high school is you never leave a ball on the ground.
Wasn't the whistle blown?
Yes.
The whistle was blown.
If a whistle was blown, then the play's dead.
When it comes to these matchups, specifically within divisions, you throw the playbook, the rule book, and every other book out the window.
Which division could surprise you? Eric was one of the first ones to get back to me and say NFC West. You do not stop until that whistle blows. They get 2 points out of it.
Football is also a game of emotions as much as it is inches. And there was a missed field goal. I just think it's frustrating to see a game change momentum on a play like that. That's so controversial.
Moving on to Chicago. Chicago sits second seed in NFC. First time in the playoffs since 2020.
I was just going to say that I put together a few offensive keys for the Bears as they go on to the 49ers. First of all, establish the run, prevent the explosive plays that we know Shanahan wants. Caleb Williams needs to be protected. Now, on defense, force the damn turnovers. The 49ers have a very high turnover rate. Bears defense needs to create takeaways to shift momentum away.
Listen, Deb, we saw your blogs when you was at the Super Bowl last year. We was like, I mean, they got people can't get in. It was like, no, Deb, no, not you. Y'all ain't on the list, Deb. Come on. You a hard worker. The Blonde Blitz is a respected entity. And hey, I mean, you do your due diligence. You know, when people get to talk about journalism and really trying to get these stories, you understand it's a fine line. When you're talking to these players, when they start hitting you with that off the record stuff, they will hit you with an off the record statement in a second. But they don't want to do it anonymous, just off the record. You get to really know what goes on in the ins and outs of these players, which I think that's the respect level of a player when they can talk to you off the record, because most of them don't want to talk at all. They don't want to say anything. When you talk about the who's who with the Rams, the Chargers, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Lakers, the Clippers. I mean,
all the sports.
Come on, man. Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, Ben. I appreciate that so much.